Hi, I'm Dave Jones. Normally I run a niche little technical video blog and I don't get involved in political issues and social commentary and stuff like that. I just sit back and take government decisions up the arse like everyone else, because Australians usually just don't care about stuff. But one recent government decision has gotten so far under my skin, it's ticked me off so much that I've got to speak out about it. Okay, so what's going on? Is it the senseless killing in the stupid Iraq war? Is it the whole global warming Copenhagen thing? Is it the perpetually incompetent New South Wales government and the ridiculous public transport folly? Is it the continued slaughtering of whales in the name of scientific research? No, it's none of the above. What I'm talking about is this damn mandatory internet filter the government has proposed. And make no mistake, this is one of the most hideously evil government policy decisions in Australia's history. And the bastards are trying to sneak it past us under the disguise of protecting our children. Ha ha! Internet filter? What's that? Well, in case you've been living in a cave for the last couple of years, let me give you the skinny. The Australian government have said that they will implement policy, and this is a done deal unless we stop it, they will implement policy that says that every internet service provider in Australia must put in place a mandatory internet filter to block websites and other keyword content based on a secret blacklist the Australian government has come up with. And you don't get any say in it. You don't get to see what's on this secret blacklist. And in case you missed it, the keywords there are mandatory and secret. That's right, it's mandatory. You've got no say in it whatsoever. The government is going to decide what you read, see and hear on the internet. This is potentially going to be worse than countries like Iran and China who have these mandatory filters. Ours can be potentially worse than this, and we'll be the only democratic country in the world to implement such a mandatory filter. It's nuts! If something ends up there on mistake, there's no official way to get something taken off the list. There's already a bunch of stuff on there that's been put on there by mistake. This blacklist already exists and they've done trials on it. Now, what they actually want to do is block all content based on what they have described as refused classification content. Now, they already have this refused classification thing in place. There are lots of products out there, computer games for example, that have been refused classification and they'll be on this list. It's not just child pornography and other things like that, terrorism information. No, it's anything the government deemed that they can't classify. Yes, although this internet filter is put forward as for just protecting our children, it isn't just kiddie porn we're talking about. We're talking about stuff which you may legitimately want to access on the internet. And the sort of stuff that can end up on this refused classification list is almost endless. It could include stuff like the Holocaust, abortion, euthanasia, anorexia, anti-government stuff, you name it. And I bet you didn't know that there are around half a dozen computer games in 2009 alone that were put on this refused classifications list. Computer games! God, what next? Harry Potter books? Now, our illustrious PM K-Rudd has been quoted as saying, here it is, "We are trying to get the balance right between maximising individual freedoms on the one hand while protecting young people in particular from the real nasties out there. This ain't easy." End quote. Hello, McFly? Think, Kev, think. The world's most effective way of protecting our children is already available and it's free. They're called parents. Now the people who are behind this filter, which is very few, claim that it's all done to protect our children. And if you're against it, then you must be a supporter of kiddie porn. You must be a kiddie fiddler. Ha! Hey, it's a pretty powerful argument, isn't it? I mean, who wouldn't want to protect our kids? Well, don't fall for it. Stand up against it with pride, because it's a smokescreen. It's a way for a few ultra-conservative, right-wing nutters with their heads stuck in the sand to control what you see, think and hear. Now, a Sydney Morning Herald poll of almost 25,000 people showed that 96% of Australians are against this internet filter, and other polls and things show the same thing. And the government actually admit this, that it's vastly unpopular and nobody's for it. So, what's it all about? Why are they going ahead with it? Well, when it comes to politics, there are only two things that rule everything: money and power. Now, this issue clearly isn't about money, so it's got to be about power. In this case, power for people to decide what you see, think and hear. Can there be any greater power? I don't think so. And they're trying to grasp it, and they're going to get away with it. It's going to be policy very soon unless we stop it. Now, the government knows that it's going to be almost political suicide to go ahead with this mandatory filter that nobody wants. So you've got to ask again, who is really behind it? Now, make no mistake, the buck stops with two people and two people alone on this issue. Dickhead Communications Minister Stephen Conroy, Senator Stephen Conroy, and our illustrious PM Kevin Rudd. You've got to ask, are they actually behind it? Do they really, really believe in this thing, or is there somebody else sitting behind the scenes pulling the puppet strings, Thunderbird style? Thunderbirds I go! Now, let's take a look at the power struggle in Australian politics. There are currently three groups who hold the balance of power in the Australian Senate. The first are the Greens. Now, the Greens have said that they're against this internet filter, plain and simple. So, hey, good on you. It's not them. The second is independent Senator Nick Xenophon. He has also said that he's against the internet filter. So, not a problem there. Good on you, Nick. And the third, here we go, Family First. The head of Family First, Steve Fielding. He's been pushing this internet filter for years. He's one of the key people who support, he's one of the very few people that actively support this filter in Australian politics. Well, bingo, Dr. Watson, huh? There you go. Can you smell that? Yeah, I can too. Something really stinks. Hang on a sec. I better just pass something under the table here. Okay, so let's take a look from the other side for a minute. I mean, why should you care? I mean, isn't this a good thing? Huh? It's not going to do any harm, right? I mean, we already have internet filters in place at ISPs to block various sites. It's not a big deal, right? And you don't even notice it. Heck, so what's the problem? Well, what the government is proposing is massively wide sweeping. It's unprecedented almost anywhere in the world, certainly in democratic countries. And it's not about what things are currently on the blacklist. That's irrelevant. What it's about is the power it gives the government to decide and control what you see, think and hear on the internet in the future. What power it gives future governments, not just the current Rudd government, but all future governments, the power over everything on the internet. It's unprecedented. If you're not worried about that, well, there's something wrong up here. Now, if you still don't think it's a problem, well, here's an example of the government already showing their power before it's even been introduced. There's a satirical anti-filter website which is against this internet filter, just like my video here. It's World Wide Web, stephenconroy.com.au, and it was a protest website, and the government shut it down with 3 hours notice. Well, the government didn't shut it down, actually. It was the official Australian Domain Registry. They shut it down in a record 3 hours. Right? Normally, you get like a week or two to explain yourself before they shut you down. Not in this case. Guess who was pulling the strings? They actually trialled this internet filter and they released the report, the final report, last month, which is what they're basing their entire policy on. And the government like to claim that the trial showed it's 100% effective on all websites and it doesn't slow down the internet at all. Well, it sounds good, doesn't it? But if you actually read the report, it shows that the trial was only done on 1,000 websites. That might sound like a lot to the average person, but I can assure you it's half a bee's dick compared to the number of internet sites out there that are currently out there and will be in the future. It's growing exponentially. And they trialed on 1,000 websites. It's nothing. What a useless trial. And what's worse is this extra keyword filtering that they also want to put in. It was only able to block 80% of sites successfully, not 100, only 80. And also, it actually blocked at least 3% of legitimate sites. Now, I can assure you, you haven't heard the end of that, because that was only a trial. Once it actually, if they implement this for real, it'll be blocking a ton of content which has nothing to do with their refused classification thing. It just won't work. It's not workable. It's technically impossible to implement successfully. And the government's own report even frankly admits up front that this keyword filtering technology will create bottlenecks on high bandwidth websites like YouTube, like you're viewing this video right now on YouTube almost certainly, and other high bandwidth websites. Well, the entire internet is heading towards high bandwidth websites. I could have told you that for free. Geez, you didn't need some report to tell you. It's, the whole idea is brain dead. And to top it all off, the report also admits that any technically competent user can easily circumvent this filtering technology. Well, no kidding. That means that any technically competent user over the age of, say, 8, who's better at using the internet than Stephen Conroy is, can easily circumvent this. You gotta be kidding me. And these smart kids who can easily do this sort of stuff these days, these smart kids are the ones that they're trying to protect. It's laughable. And of course it won't stop the kiddie porn dealers either, will it? No, it's super easy to circumvent technology like this. The report admits it, and it's even easier to pass information between these kiddie porn dealers using peer-to-peer file transfer technology and other sorts of technology. It's trivially easy. This filter won't work at all to stop content that's what it was designed for, to protect the kids. It's useless. What the government should be doing is spending the money on real policing to catch the kiddie porn dealers and the other criminals, and also spending on help educating parents on how to better protect their kids. And it doesn't cost you anything, it doesn't cost us, the taxpayers, anything to help keep our freedoms, give us the internet back the way the rest of the world enjoys it. Thank you very much. And you know what else is hilarious? The government's own national classification code has 4 objectives, and the first one states that adults should be able to see, hear and read what they want. Well, hallelujah! Praise the government! So this new mandatory internet filter is completely at odds with the government's own national classification code. Ha! The irony! So get off your ass and do something about this like I am before it's too late. Don't let some unknown conservative right-wing nutters censor your freedoms and dictate what you can see and hear on the internet. Don't put up with it. And don't let the government who you elected waste your tax dollars on some stupid, useless scheme that's not going to protect anyone and is going to fail to catch the real criminals. Don't let it happen. So send an email or a fax to your local member. Get in contact with the opposition. Let them fight for it. Talk to the media about it. Flood blogs. Or more importantly, get in contact with Stephen Conroy himself. Here's all his details. Get in contact with him and tell him you think he's a dickhead and he doesn't know what he's doing and this stupid scheme isn't going to work, so stop it now. And video bloggers, get out there. Join the cause. You've got a massive audience. Show the government the power of the new social media. Show them the power of the internet and what they're trying to censor, and how it's just not going to work. It's not possible. So join the cause. You're fighting for your future freedom.